And we are live. I've got Trevor Just comment up already saying, let's go. So Trevor wanted us to get in. We have Assault Games in. He says, oh, for some reason, this live looks interesting. Wolfgang Klein. Well, Wolfgang is in. So we'll be talking about Assault Red Horizon 41. We'll get into that. That's on my table now. I was playing some games yesterday, just kind of learning the intricacies of the system, which we'll come back to. But a quick deal that's really neat is your units, depending on range and strength and facing and whatnot, you're going to have different dice, and you'll roll these dice for a very quick resolution. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll come into that. Vorpal is in. This I haven't even looked yet. Vorpal is probably a hugely positive comment about the wonderful Rolly Finger stash. Let's take a look. I am having a bad day. Oh no. Blew out my knee at exercise class. I think you should still call it jazzercise, Vorpal. Stay in the 80s, baby. You were at a jazzercise class. I have to sit on my butt with a single T all day. Well, then this one is for you, Vorpal. This episode is for you, Mr. Jazzercise. And I'm sorry you blew out your knee. I will tell you, I was simply wrestling around with my kids. And I don't know if it feels like back in the youthful days when I played basketball and I jammed a finger, but it started to turn all blue, which could still be a jam, or some kind of torn ligament. I can't even wrestle with children, although these are pretty big kids of mine. So let's see. It's hard to sit still. Very hard. Yeah, I can understand that. I'm with you. I'm with you there. So Vorpal, I'll take it easy on you. And this mustache is for you. I even went and put some wax in it because it was looking untamed and crazy when I got ready to film. Some other things we'll be talking about other than Assault Red Horizon 41 is there will be a zine that's out that's called ENI, E-N-I RPG. And what I'm showing here is actually the first thing that Charles Ward funded, which was instead of rolling dice or a die, you have a coin that you spin. So the Kickstarter is not this, but he's got this little like 16-page zine. And I am falling deep into the role-playing side currently of gaming. Now, I still love my tactical war games. I even love heavier strategy things and stuff. But oh my goodness, just real quickly, I'd picked up Karen, which is as well like a 16-page zine that just breaks into, I can't even remember, what is this one? I think this one you're in the wilderness, and it's an adventure where it's an open-ended RPG where you're looking for treasure, obviously. Some of you may have seen the Into the Odd. I did a riffle through of this book, and then I couldn't help it. I'm in the midst of a long season 1 of Twilight 2000 4th edition from Free League, and I will be going back to that. I actually owe an episode. I'm trying to put out one a week, but I've fallen behind with work getting busy, and I was playing Red Horizon. But I threw out a little one-off of this. It was odd and so much fun that once I finish season 1 of Twilight 2000, I think I'll return to my Viking and the Twins. You can go check that out if you want to see something a little bit odd, crazy, and fun. But that sent me to Blades in the Dark, which is actually a bit of a thick role-playing game. I've just perused this. It showed up last week. This is your role-playing, basically a little a thug crime commission in some kind of mythical land, crime city, and you're just trying to climb that underworld. Interesting setting. Thick, but yet quick and easy rules, somewhat governed by, not governed, but inspired by Into the Odd in terms of the light rule system. And then the one I'd already picked up, also Free League put this out, is this Death in Space. which, if I were to give it a little tagline, it would be, imagine a mashup between Firefly and Road Warrior. Yeah, that's about what it is. Everything's scarce, everything's at its end, everything's breaking down, and then Firefly-ish. And I've got a cool angle. I would love to get and play this. And I love this little like trippy cover. It's got a foil thing on it that kind of gives you a little 3D hologram thing going on. So I'm loving the mental space that these games are leading me down. This OSR, old school Renaissance, which is a term I just recently knew or learned. I know I'm late to the game in that. I even ordered Mouse Ritter, which is also using the chassis of Into the Odd, but it is that I can't say it. Anthropomorphic, that's not the word, it's kind of like Water Deep or whatever, where they're mice. And I've got grandkids that I think are going to love it. And it's a box set. I missed the Kickstarter, but I'll be getting in there with it. Let's see real quick. What is Vorpal saying? Mustache wax and whiskey that tastes like an ashtray. Oh, people are going to love you. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty much off in the obscure here, Vorpal, let's admit. Matter of fact, today I really need to finish off. Some people know I've got a whiskey show, way more popular than board games, but I don't care, or RPGs. But if you get a chance, the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof is phenomenal. Hence, there's only a small amount left in there. And at the hesitation, we will have just a little bit to wet my whistle as we go on with the show, especially for Vorpal. Any questions, bring them up. I am about ready to cycle back to Assault here. But what is this here? Gorham Wastelanders. Love it. Way to go with the language. Matter of fact, while you're laid up with your knee, go run that Firefly Season 1 again. It is always so good. My wife and I will go through and kind of binge it. And we're always so sad when it ends, but so happy that at least we got what we got. Love Firefly. Let's see. I think we're good on the catching up of where I'm at. Work has been keeping me busy. Of course, most of you know I'm a police sergeant. Let's see what Assault Games has. This may be Wolfgang. I think I will grab a glass of Austrian Empire Navy rum. Ooh, better for the sailors. Very good. Yes. I've got a little bit of rum back over this way. This is Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, but they will do some very well and long-aged rums, or even different brandies and such. So, not to mention all their single malts. So, very good. Assault Games. We'll wait until you're back. Yes, that is Wolfgang. Excellent. So needs to be mentioned, I've got 2 lives getting ready to come up, one of which was teased in the credits for the show. I'll have Jason Carr from GMT on the 20th, next Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time. So he'll be coming on. We're going to talk about some things at GMT. We'll probably be on for 45 minutes. Jason Carr and I sync in so well. He even loves the whiskey. And he's such a smart guy to talk to. He's got his own game coming out through GMT, and he's a developer, and he's kind of heading up GMT 1 that I can't wait to talk to him. So if anything, my problem when I talk to Jason is that we have to cut it off at some point in time, because I will just go on and on. No, I am Spartacus. Excellent. Sometime in September, Wolfgang, I'll have to look. Maybe we picked a date. We probably did. I always have to look at my calendar for that. Wolfgang's going to come on live. In between that, I haven't started filming yet, but I will. I've got to play a little bit more of Assault Red Horizons 41, but I will film a review of the game, and then Wolfgang's going to come on and we'll talk about his development and everything that went on with this game. So Wolfgang will be alive coming up in September. Jason Carr next Saturday from GMT. And here we go. I love it. No, I am Spartacus, says Ian McGregor. The 24th. There we go. The 24th of September. Excellent. Thank you, Wolfgang. Like I said, I always got to look at this. This will tell me when. So, but I've got some staggered interviews set. Let's see. Some of you may have noticed that I've been doing these solo role-playing versions of the games as I come through. And I'll point out on that note, the Mythic Emulator, which is all written by Tanya Pigeon, and available at Drive-Thru RPG. No, Drive-Thru? No, it's not Drive-Thru. No, yes, it is. Sorry, I was thinking Evil Hat with Blades in the Dark, but Drive-Thru, you can go on there, and that has made the ability to role play solo so entertaining for me personally, hopefully for the viewer. But if any of you have seen my Twilight 2000 stuff, you've seen it in work. So that is what will be going on in the future. Let's try a little bit of this. We call this the double barrel Jack Daniels. Very nice. So let's come back to this. All right. So you'll notice a lot of people comment on the very large box. I think it gets that attention because instead of it being on the horizontal, you've got it in this vertical mode, but it really does get your attention when you see it. Obviously, we're talking Red Horizon 41. So this is Barbarossa and moving in with all these, it's Russia and or the Soviet Union and Germany, 1941, and the attacks that take place. Now, what you won't be able to see on here too well, but when I have Wolfgang on, he'll be sharing his screen, or I'll share mine, and you'll be able to see these in a little better detail. Probably one of the, well, there's several cool things, but one of the really cool things is when you have a counter on the board or on your map, that counter is further distinguished by the card, which gives you the specifics on range and if it's attacking an armored unit or a foot unit or artillery. And let me see, let me find a vehicle here. I'm sure, there we go. We can get a little Panzer II out here. And of course, it tells you its movement allowance and cost if you're building. And there's so many different things you can do with this game, where you can even have, so you'll have a scenario book. We'll get to the dice in a second. I even got the campaign book here, but there's a scenario book. But you could draw in your cards that will tell you on the card it's like a recruitment card. I know that's the wrong name for it, Wolfgang, where you'll draw that card and it'll tell you the type of unit you have and what is in this squad or platoon. Sorry, platoon. And then that will be what you put on the map. That's an option. You can play it a lot more linear as well. But then if you can see, and this is a better one. So, well, no, this is pretty good. This Panzer II is good. I'm going to get this really close, but the lighting's probably not going to, the lighting's not going to allow. There's little tiny squares down here that are corresponding to the dice that you would roll depending on the range. Same thing goes if you're defending. You can't quite see it again because of my lighting. We'll be sharing these cards, but around the corners here, there are different dice based on the defense of that tank, or is it being attacked from its front or from its side or from the rear or even from its top, which is a very hard thing to handle in a game, and done brilliantly by these cards, because you may have a tank at elevation that's firing down on another tank at a lower, or an anti-tank gun firing down, and you're hitting the top of that armor. And this is covered by these cards just so easily. You'll roll, you get a little bit of that excitement of the rolling that comes, so it's not all predetermined. And then there's a set of optional crunchy rules, and you can kind of up the crunch and as you play. And really, I've got to get into a lot of those optional rules still, so I understand them a little bit better, so I won't go into them. Bottom armor. No, it doesn't cover bottom armor per se. I'm sure there's something in there if they run over mines or something. Maybe I haven't gotten to that. But that top armor is key. Let's see. Miniature-wise, Vorpal is working with his 54 millimeter Vietnam game and having great fun with that. Let's see. His miniature army, USO show. All good, all good. So that is just kind of a little brief walkthrough. And the campaign game, we're talking, I don't know how many pages we got here, Wolfgang. 47 on the campaign that branches off and does a lot of different things. I obviously have not played the campaign game. I had some of the scenarios out and was working through gameplay, am working through gameplay now. So look for a review on that in the future. But most people know I love my tactical games. What is Death from Below? For those occasions when you turn the unexploded 500-pound bomb into an IED. Yes. And then the road explodes. So most folks on the channel know that when it comes to, first of all, I love World War II. It's probably my favorite setting. I was reading the history of World War II when I was a kid. I don't know why it speaks to me. Nobody else was in the military than me. I later joined the military. I was a medic in a light infantry unit. But the tactical play is what I've gravitated to. So I've played some strategic, some operational, but I really love the tactical. I think a lot of that actually lends back to even the role player in me, where I definitely am a person that gets into that tank. And heck, I think it was before I even got into the military. I have a tendency now, I think it's the gamer in me, that when I see a piece of land or a piece of territory while I'm just driving around, I'll be thinking, oh, I know how I would defend that, which is a pretty odd thing when you're just driving around town. I'll see something and go, oh, that would be a great reverse slope that you could put a nice tank on and control that entire area. And if anybody could just hear my thoughts out loud, they'd think, is this guy nuts? Why is he thinking about what a tank can control from a little bit of an enfilade? And they would go, weird fella. But then they would see the stash and the hat, the shirt, and go, yep, seems about right. Let's see, I see a Chief Ugly here. Chief Ugly, looks like you got a fistful of dice game. Is there a board game element or maybe a miniature element to the game? It is a board game element. You have your tokens. Actually, the boards are very large, hence the large box. The geomorphic boards are very large and, of course, can interlink together. And the spaces, the little hexes, Wolfgang can throw down the size. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're much larger than what would be a normal hex geomorphic board game. And you can typically only have one unit in a hex, hence the larger boards, the larger maps. And then like most tactical games, it's really about maneuver and fire and suppression and closing into close combat. They do have an interesting element in here on top of the cards and the dice, which is in the order of play. If you have like a mortar unit, that mortar unit, I'm going to forget the phase of this, but they'll actually fire in at a different phase than the normal combat resolution phase, which means you might be dropping smoke, or they could be dropping some kind of mortar shells for suppression, things of that nature. But let's see, hex dimension, there we go, is about 4.6 by 4 millimeter. Excellent. Show us your map. Well, the map actually has a bunch of stuff on it. My extra boards are way over there. So please do this. If you're interested, do go to BGG. You can look up, I find it easier to find under Red Horizon 41, and then you can go see all the pretty pictures there on BGG. And again, look for the review coming in the future. And here we go. Those are centimeters. Kabuki Kid is in. How are you doing, Kabuki? And she's chatting with the gang. So welcome, everybody. Everybody's giving their responses back. And perfect. So that's just a little bit, again, on what's going on with Assault. That is where I was focused on. I was playing games over there most of yesterday, in between getting some chores done and whatnot. I actually got a little bit of trouble because some impromptu chores at a family's house came up, and I said, hey, I'm in the middle of something, and I got in trouble, but that's all right. I literally just started like getting into the zone. And I said, just fill the truck up with the cut wood from the down tree and I will unload it later. But I better not talk too much about that. I got in trouble. Yeah, that is it. So let's see. So what are we at time-wise? See, it's been a while since I've been on. I got to look, 20 minutes on my timer. So what else is going on? Any comments coming in? So here's some of my, here's my open confession. I'm already doing my dream job. So I was in the Army, but I always wanted to be in law enforcement, and I'm 27 years in. I'll come back to Vorpal's mustache quote here in a second. And I'm literally doing my dream job from when I was 5. So when I do this channel, as fun as it is, whether it's the whiskey channel or the board game channel, I'm not doing it even as a career option. Most of you can probably tell. I'm doing it for really it's a way to allow me to get deeper into the hobby. And I'm a big communicator. I love communicating about things I like as well, which means when I go and start doing small little OSR games, old school Renaissance games and stuff, these are niche inside niche, which means it's not going to go gain a huge following. When I'm loving tactical war games on World War II, Barbarossa, we're in the more niche side of even board games. I don't care. I love it. But it means the difference between having 10,000 views on something to maybe having 300 or maybe 3,000, which is all fine, but I'm not chasing the numbers. If any of you look at my numbers, you'll go, yeah, we can tell you're not chasing the numbers because you don't have the numbers. I've got, 6,000 subs or whatever, but it literally is just me kind of enjoying the world of gaming. And I love interviews because I love, I got to sit down with John Butterfield. I was playing Ambush in 1983 when it came out. I was 13. And, the idea that, 30 years later-ish, I'm interviewing the designer of one of my favorite board games is really surreal to me. And, I've had Eric Lee Smith on before that. So I've had both the primary designers of one of my favorite games on the show. And that is kind of like, for me, closing the circle on my hobby even. Some of you, especially Vorpal, won't believe it. I was a bit of a shy kid. Not with my buddies or anything, but you weren't going to see me like, I don't know. I wasn't like running around school winning the popularity contest, probably because I was playing board games at home. Hello. But the idea that, I was playing mostly solitaire games to the point where now I'm interviewing the designers is just awesome for me. So let's see. What is Kabuki said? Channels that chase the numbers and are only doing YouTube to keep going or gaining subscribers and become famous are the ones that peter out and burn out. Absolutely. Tom Bassel. So I got on his channel, huge channel. He didn't expect that to ever become his job. And he told me when I started, because he said, hey, I know you like the war games. Do you want to start doing the war game videos? Yeah, I do. And his point was, hey, if at any period of time you start to not like it, stop. I'll find somebody else, because if any part of it, for me, the editing is probably the most work. For every minute you film, it's 4 minutes of editing. And if I film something bigger like Assault, I'll probably film an hour as I'm working through what I'm filming, and then it's got to be cut down to something more manageable. Otherwise, people won't click on it to view. Now, if I'm doing a game playthrough or whatever, then it's the stories unfolding. Or if I'm doing a live, there's no editing to it at all. That's what's nice. I am editing when I do the RPG playthroughs, just because nobody wants to see me try to add up a bunch of dice. That would be painful, and Vorpal would have a good laugh. But I agree, Kabuki. And that's one thing I love about YouTube is really the barrier for entry is so low. Some cameras, lighting, and whatever your passion is that you can jump in, and it kind of shines through. I mean, I'll find folks all the time where their passion is just so obvious that it's a joy to watch. I'll take that over a polished show any day of the week. Let's see. Vorpal's got something there. I missed your mustache comment too. I may go back. Chief, I played Ambush for over 30 years and I cannot remember there being an error in the code, not even once. The not Purple Heart, Move Out was the first, then Purple Heart, and then the last one, which was down in Italy, and I'm blanking on its name. It had a few errors in there. And some of I went and did some of my own missions, and at some point in time on the release, I even transposed a number. And when me and Ron were going through it, because I was trying to get that figured out, we caught a couple of errors. And my goodness, in a paragraph book, if you have a number error, boy, does it go off the rails. And I think I went in and made a correction like midway, or I was doing something and somehow I got a number in the wrong spot. So I ended up fixing that, but I'm sure a few of my issues went out when I was self-publishing that maybe frustrated some folks. Apologies if anybody had that. That was a hard system. And that is one reason Butterfield does not want to go back and redo it. He doesn't mind if somebody does a straight reprint, but he said that was difficult to chain everything together. It's the love of doing what you are doing on here that keeps channels like this going. Yes, and it's not a profit motive. So I'll be honest, when I switched over to some of the RPG stuff, my subscribers went to 0. A couple times it dipped below that, -2 or whatever. I was like, oh, okay. But it's hence picked up a little bit because, in my opinion, if I'm doing something that I'm passionate about or like, and it's not really about the views, if it resonates, not that I want to put out junk or anything, but it will either eventually resonate or it'll just stay about middle of the road, and that's fine too. But that's generally what I've found is that even if it's not spiking up, I'll be honest, what gets the most views, looks, subscribes is when I was doing all the Hamtag stuff. Hamtag was a blast, just filming and talking about all the different games, and lists, video lists always rate higher. People love watching lists of things. So our top fives, were kind of right in that niche for what people are even looking for. And I have no problem with doing ham tags. But the guys doing them, they've got lives going on as well. And it is all on my channel. And, Greg was like, hey, I'm going to I'm going to step away for a while. And Judd, I think we did so many in a set that, I know he had family, he was coaching. And so time just comes in. And that's fine. If it ever works, we'll do more ham tags. I'll still do some of my yearly ones with Trevor. But again, that wasn't done just for the numbers, although those always got tons of numbers. And fairly easy to do, quite honest. It's not like you have to learn a new game system and then shoot the review. You're just doing a list of stuff you like. Pretty easy. So let's see. Yep, Tom's story is very unique. Was interesting to see that all evolve over time. Yeah, I was watching him since Korea as well. Matter of fact, the whole way I get into or being on his show is he was going to bases in Korea. And I think he even went to, was it Camp Walker in Daegu? I've been to Korea and been to Daegu, Seoul, down to Busan. And he was reaching out to the bases and going in and playing games with the soldiers. And I thought that is so awesome. And then it clicked into my head. Cops have a real hard time interacting positively with high school kids. It's usually, excuse me, it's usually a ticket, a speeding ticket or possession of weed or alcohol, not positive contacts. And I had a group of, of police guys that I knew gamed. And I said, hey, would you guys go into the high school with me if they'll accept us in uniform? And we'll game with some high school kids. And we used the AVID program, which was Advancement via Individual Determination, college-bound course. And the school was all over it. Yes. And then we went in and we started gaming with these kids. And that's where I meet Dexter. And he loved Ticket to Ride and some of these Euro games. And I just sent Tom an email saying, hey, you inspired me to do this. And he actually said, can I call you, or can you call me? And then he said, will you do an audio little clip and I'll put it on the podcast? And I was like, oh, I don't think so. And he was like, come on, it's a good story. And that's what jumped me in there. So that's how all that starts, which leads to all of this. I never thought I'd be doing any of this. And so, I mean, that's Tom's credit there for sure. So hail to the chief. There we go. Deploribus Rex. Thank you. Hail to the stash. Let's see. What was this? Yeah, I don't remember errors and ambush either. There really wasn't that much. It was that last set that I'm blanking on. And that a lot of that had to do where the map was a little weird too. Purple Heart was definitely the sweet spot. So what do we got from Trevor? Hey, he's just saying, hey to everybody. Oh, see ya. Great to see you. Sorry, misread that, Trevor. Thought you were leaving. I didn't play any of the expansions. Oh boy, I was going nuts for them. Battle Hymn when they moved into the Pacific. I did not get Leatherneck, which was the expansion for Battle Hymn, until years later. I had fallen out, not fallen out, but I'd boxed my games. I was in the military. Then I was going to college. I had a serious girlfriend. So all those things meant I kind of missed the decade of the 90s. The 90s, there was very little board gaming. I got into some video gaming in that period of time. So, but the 90s were definitely busy. As they always, it's your 20s. I believe your 20s are when kind of, everything's getting set. School, job, work, family, career, relationships. What is this? I am not a computer operator on YouTube. Is simple, and YouTube is simple to operate. Yeah. Well, look at, in order to run a studio, I've gone and done interviews with the law enforcement in studios. The amount of people that have to get the lighting right, the mic, the camera, the visual audio, all that took a crew of professionals and a sound stage. Not anymore. Not anymore. The barrier of entry has come down so low that the amount of content can be niche, and again, some folks may have a hit. We've got some Scotch guys that started, or whiskey guys that started after us, and they just blew up. And they were able to quit their job. Silver Star is it. Yes, Silver Star. That one, the maps are a little wonky, and there was one mission that kind of fell off the rails. I think after I played, I actually went through the book, because I went back to that mission and figured out where it kind of came unhinged and figured it out. I would not have the time to do that nowadays, but boy, did I play the heck out of all of Ambush. I now have it, but the tank versus tank version, which I can't remember, Open Fire, that's Ambush with tanks. I heard it kind of breaks down because they're too close to each other. I haven't played it, but I picked it up. And then there was something Strike. And I picked that up. That was 2-player Ambush. And I haven't messed with that either. What was this here? Any other RPGs you really dig other than Twilight 2000? Well, we'll talk about Into the Odd a little bit more. So Into the Odd, first of all, just the visual presentation, the layout, the visual presentation is so interesting, but the gameplay is so crazily simple. You're creating a character with just 3 stats: strength, dexterity, wisdom, and anything that you can think of that would deal with strength, and usually some kind of physical fighting. whatever your dexterity is. That could mean, firing or jumping or leaping or climbing, running, and then wisdom. But what's cool is your wisdom might be like, well, I'm going to use my wisdom to pick a shot that aims over here that knocks that rock down, which sends a boulder down on the guy, whatever. Okay, man, that's a creative way to solve that problem. So you might be rolling on those different stats, but then you don't ever roll to hit. If you've got a weapon, that weapon may be a D8, and you're not rolling to hit. You're simply rolling the D8. That's the amount of damage you're going to do. Now, if it's to you or to somebody else, they have what's called health points. I think I've read too many. It might be called something else, but it's not hit points. They are basically a 1d6 that you have. So, and you can improve that. But if I had 6, it is maybe my ability to dodge, or, maybe it's my general idea that I'm so strong that I can take a little bit more. But once your health points, or I think it is health points, once they're down or exhausted below 0, it starts coming off of your strength. And when your strength gets to 0, you're knocked out. And if you don't get help, you can die. And then there's some criticals and things that can happen. And you can take injuries that will be long lasting. But it's just so easy to resolve, so quick. And this is a dangerous system, the end of the odd. But if you lose a character, you've got a new character rolled up in about 3 minutes. So the idea is, also make good decisions. If you're running in on some kind of giant monster, you're probably going to die. So what might you want to do? Get away. And how will you get away? Why? What will you do? And so it engages you much more on what is going on. Is Greg still alive? Very much so. Yes. Greg's a omnivore gamer too. He goes to BGG, and he's on their BGG team or whatever, the guys that wear the jerseys that will help people out. And Greg is in retirement and doing well. Judd is doing well as well. He's had a couple medical issues, but I won't get into his medical stuff, but he is doing good. I got to go see him next week. Let's see. Yeah, people love lists. Ham tag was definitely a draw for the channel. Yes, and I still like doing with Trevor kind of what we're anticipating for the new year. And some people say, well, that's not ham tag. You don't have the other folks there. Well, ham tag just means half as much, twice as good. Yes, I would love to have Judd and Greg there. And I'm not going to just do them by myself. So I used to have Beauties and the Chief as well. And early on, there were just some female gamers that were in my game group. And I said, hey, I'd love to get your perspective. And I learned so much about games I didn't know about from those gals that I was like, this is awesome. But eventually, things happened or folks moved, and, that's just the way it is. So I kind of just follow things where they go and stay with them as they feel like things to stay with. And I don't force anything. Ham tag with Trevor, obviously. Yes, those were some of the best. Yes, fun banter. Judd would just go on and on and on. Those are still, I have people that will still send me messages saying, man, I go back and watch this episode all the time. And then Greg would be like, my goodness. And it was just that fun, banter back and forth. What do we got here, Bill? Bart, are you familiar with Steve Jackson's fantasy trip? Yeah, I kickstarted his redo of the fantasy trip. Great value. It was like $60. Tons of books I have over here, and I've even gotten a few of the little tiny expansion zine things. Melee and Wizard, yep, got it. 4 Against Darkness, D100 RPGs for war gamers, especially solitaire. Yes, that gets a little crunchy. I've read through some of the rules. It's much more like miniatures based combat, I think. I may jump into that at some point in time. Really fell in love with Free League, which did Twilight 2000. Their Forbidden Lands is interesting. And my son loves RPGs. So he created this like serial killer elf. I had all these buddies over, and he joined in. And he stepped away from the group. And I wasn't running the game. A good buddy of mine who's a retired sergeant, who's a lifelong RPGer, was running it. And everybody's like, where are you going, man? We're trying to get out of here. Well, he creeps into this kitchen, and we're thinking, well, maybe he's hungry. And he's creeping in, passes all his stealth rolls, and he says, there's this like overweight, heavy cook in there, female. He's like, is she alone? And the group got quiet and kind of like, and later on, one was like, your kid was scaring me, dude. And I'm like, yeah. He was role playing this serial killing elf so well. And there was like a dice check, and no, there's two other assistants, with her. And he's like, how far away are they? And he realized he was going to have to pass a couple more stealth checks in order to take everybody out or get into a position. It's a little risky. So he just snatches up a loaf of bread and quietly leaves. And little do they know how close they were to death. And the whole group was like, dude, your kid was freaking me out. And I was like, isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? And then he was thrilled because my buddy, his name's Don Story, great last name. He's running the game, and he said, man, your son was the best role player out of the whole group. He played that character like that character needed to be played. He became that character. I said, man, I was stunned. And that's what started me really going down that role-playing move. So that was Forbidden Lands. But yes, long answer. I do have a whole bunch of role-playing games that have come in. It's good to have a hobby that could serve an EMP strike. Yes, it could survive an EMP strike. Now, that's a good point. Although, you know what my fear is? I think I had this nightmare, was that winter would come, no power, and I would have to burn games in order to stay warm. And I was like, oh my God. And I thought, it was like a visceral hate. And I thought, God, I need to go get cordwood. I need to get some cordwood in here so that the games cannot become fuel. And then I thought, geez, there's a list. Trevor, me and you are going to do a list on if there was an EMP strike, which 10 games would we never, ever burn for heat? Which I know would be like your top games. But I was like, oh my God. Well, I do have two versions of Quirkle. So I thought, well, those are wood blocks. I'm burning one of them. So, but yeah, that actually came up. And I thought that would make a fun list. A little bit dark, but what a fun list. What is this? Judd or JUD is a game trader. That takes a lot of time. What is Judd? See, I see Judd and I think Judd Vance. JUD. I don't know what that is. Do preppers keep some RPG books and dice in their bomb shelters? Well, surely they must. You wouldn't want Ambush. As much as I love Ambush, it's going to wear out on you. I think B-17's Queen of the Skies would be a good one. It's a smaller package. You could play for a long time. But it is kind of samey. But a couple RPG books, oh my gosh. You'd have to hide them though, so they're not using them for burning or toilet paper. The irony. Hiding in a bomb shelter and role-playing Twilight 2000. Yeah, I got a feeling that wouldn't be on the list. That would probably be something you wouldn't play. It would be something more like Happy Fun Time. Of course, they would all, what is this? Of course, they would all be survival RPGs or survival board games. Maybe. I don't know. I would want something akin to a role-playing version of like, Happy Times. What do we got deplorable here? I'll go through the rest of what's going on, and then I think we'll wrap up here. Heck, Kabuki, I'm looking forward to selling board games for ammo, food, gas, or ownership of a fiefdom in the post-apocalyptic world. Yes, I have told some of my buddies, hey, I've got the entertainment with the games, and we could treat anybody with wounds with the whiskey. It's a medicinal purpose once you hit that level. And I do know some people that could help me defend it. Occupational hazard. What does Wolfgang have? Vorpal Twilight 2000 is not translated in Germany. Due to the Ukraine conflict. Really? That's interesting. I do know there was like a reviewer that was all mad and did like a hate video because he said, "Really? You're going to put this out?" And I'm like, "Come on, man. It's the 4th version. It was kickstarted before everything happened. Um, and it's fictional land of 2000. So, but he's still waiting for it. Yeah, it's fun game. It's actually a little crunchy. I found it a little bit difficult to do my show with it, although I just have to. Sometimes I'm doing the dice rolling, but I won't show that on camera because I'm having to add up. Okay, that's a hit, but hold on, how much ammo? 6, 3, set 5 dice. What? And then, as Vorpal would say, the chief looks like an idiot, and nobody wants to see somebody count dice. It's a little bit crunchy on that, tracking everybody's ammo. So I've got some little things I'll do that basically will just be like, hey, they got a lot of ammo. Reloading is not that hard. But for visual playthrough, I'll play fast and loose with the rules a little bit to keep the story going. Doesn't mean the rules aren't going on in the background or I'm following them, but every once in a while I'm like, hey, there's a group here. You're actually allowed in the group to roll for the group and not every individual. But keeping the tension up is hopefully what I'm able to do. Yes. What do we got? I like the stash. Good style for board gamer. Yes. And even on duty, I've been getting a lot of compliments. It's funny because I had a couple higher ups kind of were like, we're not sure. And we have in the chief's office, there's a wall of all the past chiefs going back to 1870. And of course, 1870 to like 19, basically World War I, you had giant mustaches. So I'm like, I'm just trying to be like the old chiefs. And they're like, good point. Magic the Gathering, mouth-breathing card floppers. Never played Magic. So, but Trevor did. Kabuki did. We can see that. Vorpal collected World War II card game. Richie Z is in. All right. Cheers, Bart. Enjoy you sharing gaming passion. Thank you, Richie Z. Kabuki Greg is on the BGG team. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Greg Schmidtkins, if you see him. Didn't know that. Very cool. Yeah, Greg has got a cool thing, too. He's been going to the WBC, the World Board Gaming Championship, I think, all the way back when it was Avalon Con. Greg likes to make buttons. He's got his own button maker, so he always comes up with some kind of cool button or 3 different types, and he makes beef jerky. And he always brings these pounds of jerky. And he's got buddies that he sees once a year that he's like, here's your pound of jerky. You know, this one's got a little bit of jalapeno sauce in it or something. Great stuff, and keeps folks getting a little bit of protein in when they're at the board gaming. I'm not sure if that's why he does it, but Greg is definitely well known for his buttons, his wargaming, and his beef jerky. Maybe not in the order I've given it here. What do we got here? Hey, he reminds me of the time we were playing D&D game. One guy in our game was like 19, son of another player, and he started collecting a necklace of ears. Ooh, freaked us all out. Yes. Well, the key is always, are they playing the character? So if that's the what the character is doing, that's great. Yeah, when he was this scary elf, very dark. And people are like, man, I'm not sure I only want to go to sleep with this elf around. He's scary. And he was all jacked up. I still want to know the backstory of that elf. I felt like he got abducted or treated wrong, or I'm like, what happened? That's how well he played that character. You were like, how did this elf get so jacked up? I want to know the rest of the story. This is unbelievable. Yeah, it was very, very impressive. Let's see. Burn games to stay warm. Awesome, dude. That was my nightmare. I'm not kidding. This is like a nightmare I had where they were like, someone's like, we're freezing in here. We've got to burn ambush. No, not ambush. That's the game I got in 1983. Throw on my extra Quirkle. There's blocks in there. Grab Jenga. Get Jenga. Nobody needs Jenga. It's wood. Burns, yeah, app assisted. Oh boy. 10 games. You mean 5? Yeah, sorry, 5. There we go. Oh, we'll come down to the end of the list. Burn my Vietnam. Yeah, no. Sacrifices have to be made. Chief, when are you retiring? We need more gaming time, dude. I agree. 4 to 5 years. I could go, they told me, till September 2028. And then at that point in time, it would be dumb to stay because I could go be a Walmart greeter and make more money because I'd be maxed out. And then there's this little extension thing you can do. But I love what I'm doing. And I'll probably stay till 2027. We'll see. My oldest, the serial killing elf, will be in college at that point. So... but I won't stay past 2028. So we'll see. But yeah, I would love to do more gaming. Bucky does the jerky thing too. Let's see. We're getting down. Oh, light got in. Guy who runs Game Toppers. Burn games with tons of wood. Yes. You know what? Gamer Geek was a YouTube show I just found, and I can't remember the gal's name that runs it, but boy, does she and I have a lot of games in common. She's a big solitaire gamer. She did a whole deal on Ambush. She had multiple games, and then she's into a lot of the OSRs. She had Mouse Ritter, and I don't know her full name. She does a behind the camera thing. I don't know if she's wearing a GoPro or something, but all you ever see are her hands in the game. But if you want to, I think it was called Gamer Geek or Geek Gamer. Check her stuff out if you get a chance. And she's prolific. She's got like 12,000 subs, so she's doubled up on me. But yeah, great stuff. Really knows her war games very well. You can tell she's played through all the Ambush games and gone back again. So, is it Liz Davidson? I don't know. What was this here? My oldest, the serial killing elf. Yes. It could be Liz Davidson. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. She's got a cool little, unlike my avatar, she's got like these, it's a white with a little flower or something, Gamer Geek. And her key is for her pointer. She's using, it looks like a knitting hook. And she uses that as her pointer on the show. Thought it was Beyond Solitaire, but I don't think it is her. She goes on camera. Yeah, I want to say it's Geek Gamer, I think. If I'm wrong, next time I do a live, I'll get her front and center on her channel. Retirement, what is that? Board games can be like hard work. Yes, it'd be retirement from the police job. So yes, it's about time. I'm getting old. I got into some stuff a couple of weeks ago, and my guys are like, Sarge, if that person would have ran, you wouldn't have been able to catch him. I'm like, you're right. I would have had to use a vehicle because I can't run fast anymore. Knitting hook. I know who you mean now. Yeah, it's like a silver knitting hook. But I don't remember the name of the YouTube channel. She's great. She did a deal on Mouse Ritter where she was showing how her daughter drew up these pictures and how they created the game, because Mouse Ritter, which uses Into the Odd as the chassis, basically, is something I think I can use to play with my granddaughter who's 4 and grandson who's 6. They already do, the 6-year-old play some games and a little bit of role playing, but I think Mouse Ritter will be perfect. Chief is giving away a copy of Assault Red Horizon. Negative, sir. This one is mine. This one is mine. On that note, though, I'm sure Wolfgang will put up the address because I can't remember his address. He does tell you that it is being sold out of Europe, but the shipping, of course, with all the shipping troubles, is rather expensive. The good news on that is the euro's on par right now with the dollar. So it's not a bad time euro-dollar conversion-wise, But due to the shipping problem, shipping is expensive. But you can find it. And if you like your tactical wargaming, look for my review on this. I think you're going to enjoy it. Retirement. What is this? Gaming and whiskey. Oh, the life. Yes. My co-host on the whiskey show, he was 2 years on the department before me, trained me when I was a rookie. And he got hired away. They said, hey, we'll match your salary. And he said, gone. And then they apologized that they could only give him like a nice percentage once a month or once a year. And he was like, oh, that doesn't sound like my job at all. We were topped out. So we were just getting cost of living raises. Pick me. We love your game giveaways. Whatever, Vorpal. Let's see. Yeah, this is my copy. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Yes, I was going to prefer that you can pry it from my cold, dead hands. So there you go. Red Horizons. That's the quote, Wolfgang. You can pry it from my cold, dead hands. Let's see. Here's Assault Games coming up. So we are newcomers. Our first product, yes. Shipment is only via our web shop. US currently 35 euros. We support with 13 euros for US. Normally DHL takes 48 euros. So yes. And I think I was reading your website, or I don't know where I saw it, but Wolfgang was even talking about, I don't know if it was a future print run or an expansion or whatever, but he was looking at maybe when shipping settles down, hopefully getting a pallet over to someone that would be a US shipper, or maybe, I don't know what, I'll let Wolfgang cover it, but maybe straight from whoever produces the games. It's always much cheaper to get a pallet directly from a warehouse, one-stop shop, and then have someone else handle shipment in that country. It's what a lot of American game design companies do. They'll have a pallet that comes straight from China, goes over to Europe, and then saves on a ton of shipping that way, VAT tax and everything else. So, but that'll be talk about a crazy thing to deal with was the shipping container and shipping issues. You wouldn't want to disappoint your adoring fans, would you? I would intentionally disappoint you, Vorpal, because you couldn't even get up and catch me with that bad knee you got. You wouldn't even be able to get me. I'd just stay out of reach. I'd bob and weave on you. All right, let's see. Where are we at? We're at 57 minutes. We'll go right to the full hour. If anybody's got any other questions, let me know. Anything else on Assault Red Horizons? Let's see. Maybe throw the dice. Just, I mean, they're very nice rounded edge dice. Being able to resolve your conflict based on colored dice and then whether or not they hit or not. In many ways, it reminds me of the Birth of America series from Academy Games, where you're rolling your dice, and based on the quality of the unit or its strength or its armor or whatever the heck you're rolling for, you're going to have more chances to hit. Or there could be more, you've got double hits coming off of these reds versus the one, yet there's still a blank on here somewhere. There it is. So you still have that blank. So you're coming in and rolling a red. You're like, man, I'm going to get a good hit. And then all of a sudden you're like, what the heck? So there's that resolution right there in front of you. And man, you go to roll some reds and you get blanks and you're just sitting there stunned like, what happened there? So let's see. What do we got here? Shipping issues won't be fully fixed. Yeah, I know. Till 2023. Yeah, gosh, I've been reading some different resources on shipping and everything else. I think we're in for a rough decade, if you want my opinion. Where the reader Sandman, did you watch the new Netflix series? I was not a reader of Sandman, and I have not seen the series. I'll have to check it out. I watched Dash Cam. If anybody gets a chance, it cycles. Nobody's watching TV anymore, but I was number one on the world's wackiest police chases. I was pursuing a vehicle that had lost another cop who had been chasing them. The person said they were going to ram their car into the city building. Well, then I found them, started chasing them. They did ram their car not only into the city building, but then they drove all the way through the interior and out another exit, where I then caught the individual who was a little bit crazy. That was fun, but it's all on high def 1080p video, so it'll surface every once in a while. I think it was called the 20 wackiest drivers or something like that. Every once in a while, somebody will see it. I remember Tom saw it and said, "Hey, is this you?" I'm like, "Yeah." They interviewed me right there. I'm on interview. They interviewed me for an hour and they used one like 8-second clip. But that's the way it works. So Kabuki Kid for this edition is like it is. We will take care about a retailer in US with a later reprint or a next bigger module on which we are working. Then we will get this up. Sure. And I knew I would let Wolfgang deal with that. And again, I'm going to have Wolfgang on live in the future, the 24th of September. And he can discuss those things there. We'll do some screen share at the time. My review will be out by then. It's a nice little take on the tactical system. So it's hard to do something new with tactical World War II gaming, in my opinion. And this is definitely new. And it brings in that dice resolution from what I only knew it as was like the Birth of America series, which is a quick way to just, I need those dice and I roll them. And then it resolves. So no combat results tables, none of that. It's a roll, it's visual, and you see it. Wackiest police chases. Yes, you'll see me running through a demolished set of glass doors. Kabuki Kid, there's always space for improvement. And let's see, just started playing Battlefield Hardline, sort of a departure from the regular video game series. You play as a cop. Sort of interesting change. I'm not familiar with that at all. That's interesting. Rather than playing a soldier in combat situations. Battlefield Hardline. I'll have to take a look at that. All right, we're at a minute 2. I'm going to go ahead and close this up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget, I just did a little touch, but if you want to get more, you can always go to BGG, look up Assault Red Horizon 41. I will be putting a review out on that soon. If you're into OSRs, are very interesting. This book, Into the Odd, is from Free League Publishing, part of their workshop, Free League Workshop, works with indies, with independent publishers. This used to be a little zine, and now it's in this beautiful book that has a ribbon. And of course, we've got Blades in the Dark. And also from their workshop is Death in Space, which is just cool. And more to come on that. Vorpal says, good to see, God bless. And we'll end with Kabuki Kid. Yes, she snatched it on sale. Doesn't know if the sale's still on. We'll look. And thank you, one and all. It was a pleasure. What just came on? Hold on. Be well, buddy. And Chief, thanks for the vlog. Take care. My pleasure. Wolfgang, thanks for sending the game so I could see it. I love tactical World War II games. And Richie Z. Oh, well, I got to have that up, Richie Z. You're awesome. Keep up the great work. Thanks for the stream. Be well, Chief, and all. And with this, we will end on from Vorpal. Stay ugly. Stay ugly. I will end on that.